Yes, hello and welcome to the Sunday Footy Show. A massive 24 hours coming right up with Origin selections, which means we have a big show as well. Brad Fittler, Andrew Johns and Billy Slater along for the ride as always. We're excited.
Can't wait.
Billy, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous, but I suppose, you know, that just shows that it means something to you. So it's an exciting time of the year, not just for coaching staff and players, but you know, people of New South Wales and Queensland. You know, it means so much to them, their footy team, and you know, the next 8 weeks are going to be really exciting for them.
We'll dive into some early predictions very shortly, but first off, hopefully we've all, our heart rates have calmed down again after Friday night, and that, you've got to say, definitely try of the year, potentially even, try of the decade. Mark Nwanganita-Wase. Freddie, honestly, I mean, how did he manage to pull this off?
Well, he kicked the ball from outside the field of play, then he caught the ball from outside the field of play. I don't think that's ever been done. The control was just awesome. It was a brilliant moment. The only problem was that the Roosters let in a try and it wasn't the winning try. So it takes a lot of the air out of the ball, as you say, but it was incredible. Just amazing bit of skill.
Still can't believe it, looking at the way he hopped on that left foot. He actually did one early in the year, same thing, at the ground, but on the other side. He actually hopped on his left foot to get the ball down. Incredible awareness. And that was so classy.
And don't underestimate the touch as well. Like, easier to kick that too far or the direction, but the touch after the hop, like that, it was perfect.
Do you know, we're talking, he played league coming through as a junior. He played league till his 16s at Leichhardt, somewhere over there, Leichhardt Wanderers, is it? So, he had a background rugby league, as you can see.
Well, what was not quite as good as the try, but a moment that unfolded after that. So Freddie and I were sitting on the sideline. Sandon Smith converts. Freddie celebrating naturally as an old Roosters boy or man he is. And I tell you what, the Bulldogs fans, I have never seen anything like it, getting stuck into him. You can't say it on air, but it rhymes with Freddie's a banker. And there was one bloke who I dead set thought was going to jump the fence and knock your head off. But then the best part, Freddie turns to them thinking this was going to save him and says, "But I was the Lebanon coach. I was the Lebanon coach."
I was pleading, but it was an awesome moment. I've got to say, the crowd, the game was incredible. It was an awesome game. Both teams were just at it. They never gave up. You know, obviously Matt Burton came up with a winning try, so they got the last laugh. But the crowd were into it, and I was just trying to sort of build the intensity.
We've all been bankers.
I'm glad you got out safely and you're here for a big show, because this is
Joey in Queensland's a truck driver.
I'm a lot of things in Queensland, let me tell you.
They hate
A lot
you.
of things everywhere.
You're safe here with us, Joey, that's for sure. This is what is coming up on the show today, of course. It is Origin Selection Eve. The Blues announced their side this evening. Billy and his Queenslanders will name their side tomorrow. We'll get some early predictions. We're going to relive an epic night for the Blues women's side, who wrapped up the series on a wet and wild night at Allianz Stadium. Very special edition of the award-winning segment Turn It Up. We have Mark Coyne, the man behind the miracle try, so a little trip down memory lane. And of course, Freddy's pass-off is back. We've got some little stars from the Windale Eagles. But for now, we are going to take a look at the results so far from round 11. And what a night it was for the Sharkies. One of their best wins in recent memory over Premiership heavyweights, the Melbourne Storm. The Seagulls got the job done over the Cowboys. Tough night for some of the Manly players. Jake Tiborovic going down. We'll get into that in a little while. The Warriors, 5 on the trot, now second on the ladder, win over the Dolphins there. The Bulldogs snuck home for the second week in a row. Cam Ciraldo with another big rev-up speech at halftime. And Joey's poor old Knights, a big loss to the Eels. So, Billy, let's take a look at the ladder as it stands right now.
Yeah, the Bulldogs still on top with the Warriors second outright. There's a big clump of teams from 3rd to 11th. You know, only 2 wins separating those teams there, and there's still 6 teams to play today, 3 games. So that'll decide the top 8, and there still might be a bit of movement. Just have a look at team number 12 there, the Panthers. Only a couple of weeks ago, the Panthers were dead last. They've climbed their way up to be right on the doorstep of that 8, and they win, draw, and then bye. they are only a couple of wins away from hitting that top 8. So they've turned their season around.
Time now for our Sunday salutes, and off the back of that incredible try from Mark Nwanganita-Wase, we're going with a theme of our favourite tries over the years. So, Freddie, what do you have for us?
Well, the bloke who sets the standard at the moment is the Melbourne winger, Xavier Coates. Like, he's just athletic ability. That was to win the game. That was right at the death against the Warriors last year. And to be able to sail that high, his body's completely out of the field of play, and then just drop the right hand, the control. And then we see him, watch him do it again last night. Climbed above poor old Daniel Atkinson.
Poor old Daniel.
Poor old Daniel. The kick was perfect. Like, the kick was incredible. And have a look at that for athleticism. He's a big man.
You reckon when Daniel Atkinson was lacing his boots to start this game, he thought he was going to be sitting underneath Coates at some stage?
Well, they actually changed. They brought Ronaldo over to the right and thought, you know what, he's going to be a better chance up against Xavier Coates, which was a great bit of coaching. But he sets the standard. He's pretty good.
Great try from Xavier Coates. Joey, what's yours from the archives?
Mine's the Jared Hayne try at Cogra when he beats about 7, 8 players. Now, you've got to remember, they're some of the best players in the world. No one could get a hand on him. This 2009 run that Hayne inspired, in all due respect to some of the players he played with, he got him to the grand final. I think you rolled him in the grand final.
09, yeah.
But his form, we will never see a run of form like Jared Hayne in 2009. And this is probably the best try I've seen in a big game. I think he's just beating players on players on players. Unbelievable.
Good to see him back on the field playing for Wenny Magpies.
Yeah.
I know he did last week. And
playing 5'8", isn't he?
a lot of passing, I'd say. More passing than running.
Good to see him back out there, though. Billy, last but not least, who do you have?
Yeah, going back to 2011, David Mead for the Gold Coast Titans. I just remember this one. Scott Prince put in a crossfield kick, and it was nearly in row 3. He just picks it up off the bounce, half volley, and how it stuck to his hand was incredible. It was the first try that I thought of when I thought of a great try that I remember. And David Mead, look at this.
Look at Velcro.
Marky Mark picking it up kicking it from outside the field of play. David Mead, he's plucked that. He surprised himself. Not even.
What about the look? I couldn't believe it. So
Did
good.
I just score that? Did that just happen?
That was brilliant.
No doubt we'll have plenty more throughout the year as well, because rugby league is in probably the best state we've seen it for a number of years. But of course, it is time for our Sunday roast, and it is all Origin today. Now, unfortunately, there was some news overnight for both camps, really, which has probably made some decisions already before we even get to tomorrow morning. Billy, I might come to you first. It must have been really tough, not only as the Queensland coach, but I think just as a footy fan and just for any human to see Tom Gilbert go down with a pec injury after the 2 years that he's had. He's missed almost 2 years with shoulder and ACL injuries. It's heartbreaking.
And in particular, when you know Tom Gilbert personally, you know what commitment he has to his footy. It's his life. He puts everything into it. And the last, 3 years now, he's been hampered by injury. I think the last time he played for Queensland, he did his shoulder. He tried to stay on the field and ended up coming off, and that was his season done. And then didn't even play a game last year. He tore his ACL. So, yeah, going through a bit of a tough period at the moment, Tom Gilbert, which first and foremost, I feel for the player because I know how much they put into their careers.
The other one is Thomas Flegler. A couple of years ago, he was brilliant playing for Queensland and for Brisbane, and then went to the Dolphins. He's pretty much been injured.
He wants to play with
the entire time.
He believes he can play with
I think they've ruled him out again this year.
Yeah, but I've talking
That's
to him.
a nerve. That's a nerve.
But there's some rugby union players. George Smith, remember George Smith? And Harrison, I forget, Big Googie. He actually played with the same injury. Yeah, so he said he can lift it. It's just certain movements where he's got no strength. But he said, Justin Harrison, but he said, Thomas Flegler said, I'll be playing next year, which is good.
Well, that'll be good.
Fingers crossed.
The other one yesterday, of course, was Jake Trbojevic, the Blues skipper from last year. A really nasty concussion. It was Cat 1. You knew straight away his night was over. But with the mandatory stand-down period, he'll be ruled out of Origin 1.
Well, he had a stand-down period also a couple of weeks ago. So this is his second one within, I'd say, about a month.
Yeah,
so
which means he wouldn't get an exemption. There's no way. But
Well, I'd say he'll also be having a good look and saying, well, I might need a longer rest. So, you know, that's going to be up to the doctors, himself and Manly. But, yeah, that was sad to see, Jake. And what he adds to the team, you know, he played, I think he averaged about 25 minutes, but it's just what he brings to the camp. He bleeds it. You talk about bleeding your jersey and your colour, he bleeds it. He sort of gives it reason and, you know, you look at him and it just inspires you. So they'll miss him without a doubt.
Sad to see for anyone, but honestly, whether you chat to coaches, players, fans, everyone says this guy is close to, if not the nicest bloke in rugby league. So
he's
Jake
also
Trbojevic,
one of the toughest.
Yeah.
nice doesn't get
nice
you
off
through
the
in
field,
rugby league, but you got to be tough. I remember when I was coaching, we get all stats and stuff like that. For 2 years, he never had a try ran through him. So
2 whole years.
For 2 years.
Incredible.
So he puts his body on the line and puts his head where no one else would put their feet. He just doesn't allow tries to go near him. So it'll be sad not to see him play for New South Wales, but he makes sure he needs a rest.
We'll focus on the Queenslanders for a little bit. Billy, overall, what would you say? I'm sure you learnt many things from last year, but what are some of the key takeaways from that series for you?
I'm not too sure. I think, you know, sometimes you just got to take the experience and move on with it. You know, the one thing that, you know, we'll be doing this year and what we do every year is trying to find our best football. You know, focus on ourselves and find our best football. And I don't think we did that at times last year. So, you know, that'll be a big focus for us this year.
Last week I was saying that I'd be playing Tom Dearden in front of Cherry Evans. I think last night's performance by Cherry, he'll be the halfback. Probably the big decision is going to be the 14 decision, whether Bill goes with Tom Dearden or goes with Kurt Mann, which I don't. We're going to put you on the spot, Billy, but the options there, the 14's the big one, and so important at origin level. Yeah,
and I think I said it the other night to you, Joey. The two things that are really important is, one, are you playing to an origin standard and the standard that this Queensland team have created, and two, is there an opportunity there to play in this team, or has someone else got that opportunity? So I think two of those guys you were talking about, Tom Dearden and Kurt Mann, they're both playing to the standard of this footy team. And, you know, if they were wearing a maroon jersey come Wednesday week, I don't think any Queenslanders would be concerned.
There's a bloke playing today, Big Tino. How important is it he gets through the game unscathed?
Well, it's important for him to focus. It's not easy to go down to Canberra and play well. They're a big physical side, and you know, it's probably great preparation. There's a number of Queenslanders playing today. The Titans are playing. There's a few in the Raiders team, and also the Broncos. You know, there's another game later tonight, which throws a bit of a spanner in the works. A 6:15 game leading into Origin selection. So there's a bit to get through today, but you know, I'm sure Tino's. He's like Tom Gilbert. He's coming back from an injury. He didn't play much footy last year, and he'll be looking forward to getting back and playing at representative level.
Bo for more. Cam said last week on 100% footy, or he was listed at that stage in Cam's team, but if he got the opportunity, what would he bring to the Origin arena?
Yeah, well, Cam knows a thing or two about this time of the year, so I think he spent 12 months of his life in Origin Camp Cameron Smith. Look, Bowie was certainly in and around the conversation before he did his knee a couple of years ago. You know, he's one of those players that you can really rely on. Look at him just in and around the football all the time, and that's why he comes up with these sort of moments. And the other thing is he's been really dangerous with the footy the last little bit as well. Against the Cowboys, he made a couple of line breaks, set up a try and scored one himself. So, you know, guys like that, when you've got habits in your game like Bo for more and you're playing, you know, to that sort of level each week, you're always going to be in the conversation.
Good thing about Bo for more, just watching his tries, scored him chasing kicks, scored him off short balls, scored him also being the person running around the outside using skills. So, you know, when you talk about someone who's, you know, not only he can do it with the ball, but he makes the defence panic a little bit, and then obviously seen him holds us save some tries. Pretty complete player. Yeah.
Well, looking forward to the announcement tomorrow morning. The Blues announced their side this evening, and a big job for Laurie Daly back at the helm. His record 40% win rate, as we can see on the graphic here, in his previous time from 2013 to 2017. He spoke with Michael Chammas on 100% footy last week, Joey, and said that he's taken a lot from that first stint. It did take a massive toll on him and on his health in particular, but how do you think Laurie will go back in the job.
Well, it helps without the certain players who aren't playing for Queensland. One next to me, and Cameron Smith, and all the champions who played. He would have learned from it. And you look at the New South Wales team, which he'll pick. Pretty much a lot of those players have played a lot of footy together, which is a huge advantage. But just looking at the weather, it's supposed to rain pretty much in Brisbane right up till kick-off next week. So we've seen Suncorp, especially yesterday, look really slippery in the Dolphins game. So probably looking at a wet track up there. So will that contribute at all, Bill, who you pick?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it contributes to the selection. It certainly would contribite to how you play and a bit of a game plan. But I think you select the best people for the job and the best people for that position. I don't think it determines what the weather's going to be like.
It's not Origin without a bit of drama, and already there has been some for New South Wales. So Terrell May was tossed up, potentially to make his Origin debut. There was a moment he was gaming online, and it seemed that he let slip the fact that he wasn't going to be selected. Take a listen.
You know that blue jersey I brought you? Chuck it in a bin. You know that blue jersey I brought you?
Oh, yeah.
Up to anyway. Is anyone on?
They
Anyone
already
on?
done it.
Nah, but did you see the thing that came out?
Yeah, well, I thought that was just the media.
Nah, not the media. How do you reckon they got leaked? Do you think he's just playing Chinese whispers?
Things used to get leaked when you were full of drink. Now they get leaked playing pinballs. And what was that game?
I'm not sure. Look, I don't know about that gaming world, but it's probably not the best look, Joey.
Oh, no, you know what? Put your phones down, get off video games and stop talking about your games. When your guard's down, you think no one's watching or listening. Everyone is watching and listening. We've seen Martin Tapau. He's been flicked from the Broncos because he liked something on
It was a
Facebook
video of Elijah Taylor criticising Madge from his time at the Tigers, and he liked it.
I know, it's a crazy world we live in. But you know what? Laurie wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's just been silly, been stupid.
The fact that Jake... Yeah, go for it.
So Hamoli Olakwadu did a couple of years ago, something very similar. And then last year I went into Manly and he came up and apologised and sat there and just spoke about how, you know, he was immature and it wasn't something that he looked back on in his life and, you know, really respected the things he was speaking about and how light he was about it. So I reckon Terrell May should maybe ring Hamoli and, you know, humble up a little bit. Seriously. What are these blokes thinking? Like, and there's people at home that just love this game. They just love it. And you sit there playing a game and all of a sudden you want to just talk like this. How blasé. Come on. Pathetic.
Joey, one of the biggest talking points for the Blues is...
I feel like you're going to say something.
No,
I've done something.
I'm going to leave that.
I'm just trying to think what I've been up to.
Roll the tape.
The vision we have. No. I'm going to bring it back to footy.
Oh,
That was, Freddie, that was a full stop from Freddie, a nice full stop there. But Mitchell Moses, last week he said that he's very keen to play alongside Nathan Cleary. He thinks he would play very well in that number 6 jersey. What's your view? It sounds like, whether we're reading too much into it, it sounds like Laurie's leaning towards Mitch and Cleary.
We had Laurie Daly on Freddy in the 8th last week, and the way he was speaking, he was pretty much pointing that he's going to go Moses. I really like it because Mitchell will play on the left side. I think New South Wales left side, especially in Melbourne last year, was so hard to handle of Angus Crichton and Latrell Mitchell. Them two will be on the left. With his long passing game, I think he brings them into play. I know they met last year with Michael Maguire before the series, Nathan and Mitch Moses, and Mitch Moses said, yep, I'll play the backup singer. So, look, they're both world-class players. I think they'll play really well together. It's exciting, and I think it brings that left edge into play with his long passing.
What it does do is the left foot. So it really sort of puts pressure on that back row, especially if you're going to start chasing him hard. He's got that really nice left foot. He normally does it on the other side of the field with an in away and use his speed to get outside the bloke. This time he's going to most probably be backing himself to take whoever the right back row would be on.
It'll bring his running game into play. When Mitch Moses first started, his running game was, because he's lightning quick.
He's fast.
This will free him up of all the organisation and getting the game plan on and enable him to run the ball and more support.
And support
play.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Big 24 hours ahead, and no doubt we'll have plenty more news as the afternoon unfolds on our coverage and on 9 News this evening. 31-26 over Premiership heavyweights, the Melbourne Storm. There was a lot of feeling in this one as well, Billy. And safe to say, over 80 minutes, this match pretty much had it all.
They did well, the Sharks. Melbourne opened the scoring after about 4 minutes, and after putting 64 points on the Tigers the week before, it looked like Melbourne were just going to go on with it. This was the first try. Brilliant pass here by Munster. Grant Anderson scores untouched. And then they had a couple of outside backs go down. Jesse Ramian went down, and also Stone Street. And it was a little bit panic stations, but players that didn't panic, and they just went on with the job. And I thought their halves were brilliant. Nico Hines, Braden Trindle's kicking game was perfect. That was obviously a plan to kick to Suafalongo and keep the ball away from Xavier Coates. It was an epic game, and it went right down to the wire, but it just had some really big moments. Xavier Coates jumping over Daniel Atkins was a big moment. This was a big moment just before half-time. He's playing super, isn't he?
Oh, isn't he a good player? Really? He's got the 6 on his back, but he's an out-and-out halfback. All the tries by Storm pretty much down their left side. Pretty much their left side's got so much strike. He had a bit of an off night at the back, William Kennedy. He's leading the Dally M's, but I love this game. Geez, it was a good game of footy. Could have gone either way, and in the end, they iced the game.
It says a lot about what it takes to win a game when your best 2 passes are from a bench player.
Yeah.
Talakai come on late on the best 2 passes you've pretty much seen all year. That's the sort of what you need to win these days. You need people to come on to be able to make a difference and to add to you, but he was awesome. But I thought Cronulla got the best motivation at the moment. Everyone tells them they can't win big games, and that's the easiest motivation to fight. So I think this year they're going to be as hard as they've ever been because it's easy. Every week they come up against a big team, it's like, you know what, everyone thinks we can't win.
But that's their first big scalp. I think they'll gain confidence from that game. That's their first big scalp. They went down to the Raiders, the Dogs, Penrith over in Vegas. It's the first time they've beat a big team that everyone thinks is going to be there at the end of the year.
The Manly game was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, they beat Manly twice.
Yeah, the one over there, that was last week, I think. I thought their Parramatta game was... Parramatta sitting down the bottom of the table. I thought that was also a step up. Did you think that was a magic round? I thought that was pretty good.
You spoke to Harry Grant this morning?
No.
No. He got through all right, mate?
Looked like it,
yeah. He played 60-odd minutes. He normally doesn't play 80. They managed him, but, yeah, he looked fine.
Yeah, I think that was a plan to bring Harry off after 30 minutes. Being in and around the Storm throughout the week, the plan was to play him that first half for about 30 minutes and then give him a bit of a spell. Yeah, look, Harry Grant's a super professional. You knew he was going to come back and make an impact. Obviously been out for a month with a hamstring injury and looked like he hadn't missed a game. So, they just couldn't get it done. What
about Craig Bellamy's part of New South Wales, Bill? Do you think that, obviously that's going to help because he's just a quality coach and a quality person, but, a lot of the talk is around, controlling Harry and him out of dummy half. What do you think Belly will take into the meeting room?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Look, Craig Bellamy doesn't change too much for specific players. He's very much orientated on the effort areas of his team's performances and what they can do. I actually played against Craig Bellamy as a coach for New South Wales, and
he was on record saying he found it incredibly difficult to coach against you lot.
What I'd imagine it would be. I'd imagine it would be. But, the one thing that Laurie Daly has done is he's put some really good people in and around him. I think Boyd Cordner's there, Brett White, Matt King, and also Frank Panisi and Craig Bellamy. So, they'll be getting the best out of their team, that's for sure.
Tough night for Craig Bellamy last night, and someone who made life even tougher was Ronaldo Mulitalo, not only setting up tries but just the niggle as well. He's the player you'd love to have in your team, but you just want to knock his head off if you're playing against him.
Because... He's too good a player to be doing this. Ronaldo, stop it. Stop carrying like a peanut. You're too good a player, and back in the dark old days, or the good old days, would he run in to be doing this when Les Davidson would be playing, or Paul Harrigan? No. So I just think he should stop it. There's no need for it. He's energetic, he's enthusiastic, but just, getting in people's faces and carrying on. I think he's too good a player for it. Agree or not?
Well, Gal has said that before. Gal says that he openly says that to Ronnie. He says,
doesn't need to do
don't let it distract you from your game.
This was the bad one, I thought. The bad one where he stood over Paps, that's ridiculous. You know, every now and then, I thought the one with Xavier Coates because they were up against each other. I think some of it's part of him, and I think he thrives on some of it. But he went overboard.
I tell you what it does do. You talk about the motivation that Cronulla have because everyone's saying that they can't win big games. That's putting pressure on your teammates because everyone that comes up against you or the teams that you do it to, that when they come up against you later on in big games, they will remember that.
Yeah, as if Melbourne, if they play in a big game, that will be shown in videos. And they'll be all talking, righto, play twos when he comes in. Let's put a carton of beer on it. Anyone smashes him. In the good old days. That's what
the good old days, hey?
Yeah,
those good old days.
Good old days before mobile phones. But anyway,
all right.
moving forward.
Moving forward and moving on to the Seagulls win over the Cowboys. And it was a gritty defensive win, wasn't it, for Manly? Freddy?
Yeah, their defence was fantastic. They had a lot of ball down their end, the Cowboys. Great to see Jason Saab in space. Have a look at this.
Look at this.
Give me the ball.
Isn't it great when you've got a winger and he gets the ball and you just go, I'll go back to my spot.
He hurts himself here.
He slips.
He hasn't been scoring many
His legs
lately.
are too long, that's why. Well, not just running away, scoring tries. He scores one over the top of his opposite winger as well. So he jumps over. Here it is here. This is it here. Jumps over Murray Taulagi. Like that athleticism, that's the difference. You know, the quality to get the ball there. But Jason Saab, he had a well of a game.
I read an incredible stat today that Tommy Dearden, when he's played in the number 7, he's played 28 times in his career, albeit when he was at the Broncos and they came last, he's only won one game. I find that extraordinary. I find it really extraordinary. And then last night, I actually had him in the number 7 in Queensland and Cherry at 14, but after last night's performance, Cherry Evans got the 7 for sure.
He needs time for sure. You could see that.
Tommy Dearden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other young fella there, Jackson Purdue as well.
Their new combo.
You can see what Todd Payton's working towards here. Mm-hmm. This is the future. You know, Jackson Purdue and Tom Dearden in the halves long term. Both Mackay boys, both North Queenslanders, and they're both stars. So the more time they play together, the better they're going to get. Jackson Purdue is still a young lad, so he's got a lot of development left in him. But you can see where the potential of this combination is going to get to.
But Tate Clifford's a North Queensland boy too, isn't he?
Yeah,
I can't see where he's been going that bad.
I think he's been
to warrant, risking this move.
Well, the other talking point was the right centre for New South Wales, Crichton or Turbo. Once again, I've been quite vocal about Turbo playing fullback, but it was if he was fully fit. I don't think he's anywhere near fully fit. I know Laurie Daly on Friday night said he's going to have a conversation with him. I cannot see Turbo playing Origin because of that knee. He looks proppy. He made some errors. One where he looked like he was going to, I think it's this one here where he just drops it. I think that's a byproduct of carrying that knee. So unfortunately for Turbo, I think they'll go Stephen Crichton at right centre.
There is a small problem. Stephen Crichton didn't train the day before Canterbury played against the Roosters, so he'll be carrying in an injury, and that's the benefit, I suppose, of having like 10, 11-day turnarounds. Allows players to recover from their minor injuries. But yeah, Turbo, you can see there was too much thinking. There's a few errors going on. There was a pass there once where he threw it straight to the North Queensland player, and you just see there was just a lot going on in his head. Normally he just flows into.
How old's Turbo now?
Oh, he'd be 28, I reckon, 29.
Footy players thinking, that's dangerous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like
you don't need thinking.
I love it when you can tell Joey's thinking.
I'm thinking.
It's like a hamster with upstairs.
I'm thinking what I did last night. That's what I'm thinking. When you came to me, I was like, oh, not again. Where's the current affair? Where is he? Where's Danny Widler? You're going to call me. Hey, Buzz. Anyway.
Yeah, they're always lurking.
Those days are gone,
aren't they? All right, anyway, we might take a break. No more stories, we don't want to get in trouble. How good were the Warriors? They have now won 5 on the trot, but these scenes down Caxton Street of their fans, absolutely incredible. We're going to read it all very shortly.
I bet you they weren't getting heckled. Look at it.
Metcalf pounces, rubbers for himself, gets a bounce.
Warriors, and great try from Kurt Capewell. However, it's a little bit unfortunate that a lot of the talk is not so much about the try, but the error as such, or the missed knock-on from Roger Tuivasa-Sheck in the lead-up. Freddy, and that was blatant, wasn't it?
That was blatant, yeah. That was blatant. I'm not sure how you're going to say that's gone backwards.
And
they can make mistakes. They should have defended it.
That try there, Joey.
Yes.
Like Luke Metcalf.
Yeah.
You don't do that without being confident. Like the confidence this young man's playing with at the moment.
Round one, over in Vegas,
Yeah.
there's no way in the world he would have done that.
No.
Filling in with Sean Johnson, all that pressure, but he is the most improved player in the competition. You can just see the way he's carrying himself, his kicking game. This is another try that he sets up. I wish I thought it was a try, got taken off him. But his combination with Murata Niukora on that right side, he's going to start manipulating defenders because Murata plays that quick play.
That was a fast twitch, that.
And he's a run threat. Because he's a run threat, his passing game's improved. I know I've sat here and just praised Izzy Katoa, but this bloke here, he's origin bound too. He'll be in and around that.
Well, that's not thinking, Freddie. That's just reacting. He just felt that and just played it in the confidence that obviously his coaching staff, his team over there, and the environment that they're giving him allows him to do that. That was brilliant play.
So he actually played outside Sean when Sean played his last year and had that great year. So, like, he's been around this place for a while now, Luke Metcalf. He started off with the Sharks. He's actually like a Coffs Harbour boy.
Coffs boy, yeah.
Yeah, so he's at the Sharks. He's been to Manly, been to a few clubs, but also had a few injuries. He was pretty lean coming through. I coached him as a young kid. He played in one of those junior origin games. He scored 3 tries just through being fast.
He's
and
lightning,
supporting.
isn't he?
He is next level fast. So to have that other skill and then seeing what he just saw, as Billy just said, with the kicking and having that confidence, he's a real weapon.
So
I think the point off the top there was the missed knock-on from Roger Tuivasa-Sheck resulted in that try happening.
Try.
The opportunity for that try to happen was off the back of the mistake from the referee. So, look, we all know that referees make mistakes, but when they're in a tight game and they're as obvious as that and points come off the back of it, that's when it's really tough to take for the opposition.
I thought the Dolphins were really good. Well, 3 times, short dropouts by the Warriors, they got them back. So they had attacking situations, but in the end, just the ball dropped the way of the Warriors. Dolphins fans...
They had a lot of calls against the Dolphins.
Yeah, they had a
heap of calls.
A couple of no tries.
Yeah, there were plenty. But this man, you could see all game he was trying to find a way to get in, and when they were chasing points, you're just wondering how. And at one stage, he just said, well, he got the ball and said, well, I need to score late in the game, and he just did it. So they just couldn't get him enough situations, I found. There wasn't enough ways to get him into the game, and that also says a lot about the Warriors' defence. They were sort of protecting. They knew what was coming and they stopped it.
the defence was incredible, right? Because over the years, traditionally, we think Warriors' great attacking side, but their defence has been one of the key reasons that they've won 5 on the trot, 8 of their last 9, and sitting second on the ladder bill.
Absolutely. It's probably the reason why you get a record of 8 of your last 9 is because of your defence. You know, the Warriors have always been brilliant with the football, and at times they still are, but it's their work off the foot. It's their work in and around the effort areas of the game that Andrew Webster has created at the Warriors. There's a real culture over there at the moment, and you know, after round 1, they're in the category of the Roosters where we're thinking, geez, are they going to win a game? Well, now they're going to lose a game. Well, they're more chance of winning than losing at the moment.
How much, Freddie, is the influence of James Fisher-Harris, do you think, on that team?
We look at all those players that have left Penrith, what they've taken to the other clubs. You look at Canterbury and the way they defend, especially through the middle. And you've got a lot of players there that are all too small, you know, unrecognised, left other clubs, and they just find a way. And there's obviously there's the passion, all that, but there's also a lot of technique and a lot of coaching that's gone on. And the coaches, Sherrardo came from Penrith, and Andrew Webster's come from Penrith, but you can just see their desperation around the middle, and there's obviously technique to it, just stopping tries.
Well, it's usually this period they go on a run during Origin period. Jeez, it's good if the Warriors are up right at the top. It's so good for the game.
Imagine if they're in the grand final. They make magic round whenever they're playing.
Yeah.
Imagine on grand final day if the Warriors are there.
When they're walking down Caxton Street, do you reckon the Queenslanders were bagging them or thinking, oh, we might just sit back?
Auckland's just on the border.
Oh, yes, it is. It's in Queensland, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what was a really heartwarming moment, speaking of how much the fans love their footy, but there was this one little beautiful kid who had a sign for Adam Pompey in the crowd. And then when they were on the bus, he said, stop the bus, because that beautiful little kid was on the street. And he went up to meet him and shook his hand.
Well, he had a run. He had a run in the second half, which I reckon won him the game. There was a run coming out of trouble. He broke through, I reckon, 4 or 5 tackles out of Pompey.
He's a good player.
He was a game changer. He just took all the pressure off him and all the stress. So, wow, that's just so cool.
Yeah, so cool. Well done, Adam Pompey. Both those sides have massive games next week. So Friday night footy is the Bulldogs and the Dolphins. Coverage from 7:30, live and free on 9 and 9 now. And then our Sunday footy, this is going to be a cracker across the ditch.
Ooh.
It is the Warriors and the Raiders. Coverage from 3 p.m.
Those 2 front rowers, 2 New Zealand front rowers.
Ooh. Lots to look forward to. But for now, the one, the only, Joel. What a night for New South Wales on a wet and wild night at Allianz Stadium. A dominant win over Queensland, which means they have wrapped up the series for 2025. And I'm very pleased to say that joining us here on the Sunday Footy Show, we have star winger Jamie Frezard. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And assistant coach and our very own Ruan Sims.
Hey,
great to have you, Ru.
Yeah, thank you.
Jamie, massive congratulations. You made your debut for the Blues. You get a series victory as well. Was it just everything you dreamed of and more?
Yeah, absolutely everything. I mean, the game was crazy in itself. The weather was crazy. I couldn't have asked for a better team to play with. So, yeah, I absolutely loved every minute of it.
And 3 tries during the series?
Yep.
2 tries on debut. How's that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Obviously, all the girls did the hard yards for me. I just did my job and finished it off.
No, wrap yourself.
But no, obviously, yeah, stoked to get those 3 tries. But yeah, credit to the girls as well, I think.
Now, you were saying before you actually played with Isabel Kelly your whole life. How did it all start for you?
Yeah, I actually played rugby sevens back in the day, played soccer growing up, and Izzy was actually the one who contacted me probably about 10 years ago to go play for the Berkeley Vale Panthers, and there wasn't much women's rugby league back in the day, and once I got that opportunity, I honestly haven't looked back.
Well, Frez, just explain to everyone listening at home, this isn't a new journey for you. You've been on this for a while.
Yep.
It's been about 10 years up until your debut in the sky blue jersey 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's correct. I was 18th man back in 2016, so that was pretty surreal. Yeah, 2016, that's how long it's been. And I've been in the training squad probably almost ever since. I did my ACL back in 2018, and since then, yeah, I've been in the training squad and fighting hard to get that spot back.
What does it mean when you hear that our biggest rating games this year have been the women's Origin 1 and 2?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I think you can see the growth that the women's game's having at the moment, and just how popular it's getting, and the growth that us girls are having, and we're getting stronger, we're getting more athletic, so it's not surprising that everyone's tuning in to watching it.
How do you feel, Ru? Well, you've been part of this, let's call it a journey, the women's game. To watch the quality, like their quality was incredible. And I've got to say this New South Wales women's team is one of the best teams I've seen. You can throw all the teams in there, winning both games by 20 points. But what was it like for you to just watch them play at this type of level?
Honestly, it was just pride. Like pride in the jersey, pride in the players, pride in the way they went about their work, pride in the fact that they just continue to turn up for each other. I think it's always been a hallmark of Origin that you always turn up for your mates, but the level that these players do it at, and so consistently as well, is probably what made me really happy. And then, you know, obviously it was a bit different for me this year. I was actually able to be out on the field with them and see firsthand, you know, how they were going, what they needed, and then just to see the pure elation on their faces afterwards. It made it all worthwhile, made all the heartbreak worthwhile, and yeah, absolutely loved being a part of it.
Well, winning series is great, but winning a whitewash 3-0 is just so good. You just rub it in even more. What do you want at Newcastle from the fans?
We want the fans to be there, obviously. Like, yeah, that's our goal. We've obviously wrapped up the series, but we want that whitewash, and we're not going to take our foot off.
Full house.
Yeah, we want it, and we're not going to take our foot off the pedal. So we want everyone to be there, and want friends, family, everyone to get around it.
Well, it helps with Jess Southwell.
Absolutely.
Playing halfback. You know, she's a local hero up there in Newcastle.
Yep. And Yasmin Clydesdale.
Yasmin, yeah, you got Yazzie as well. You've got girls up there. So, yeah, everyone get around to Newcastle and support the girls.
What a match from Jessie Southwell, Ru. She's still only 20 years old, which is hard to believe, but the calmness she played with and the finesse, you must have been so proud watching what she was able to do in those conditions.
Absolutely, but probably this moment right there on screen is the one that impressed me the most. Like, her short kicking game throughout game 1 and 2 was incredible. The way she takes on the line, we know she's incredible in that space. Her tempo running is phenomenal. She's got a great passing game. She sees it beautifully. But that moment probably to me captured her spirit, how she plays the game. She does not play in a dinner suit. She plays tough. She digs into the line. And I think what I've really liked about her game, especially this year, is that I'm seeing her bring out the best in everyone around them, in everyone around her. And I think for me, that's what a really great halfback does. They bring out the best in the people in the team, and she was phenomenal.
Olivia Koenig did the same. They moved her from she was a right edge player. They moved her to the middle, and she did exactly that. She made everyone else around her better. She made the most tackles. She ran for the most metres. She scored 2 tries, set up a couple of tries. Like, that was one of the best Blues performances of all time. You know, how different, what does she bring to the team?
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah, normally on the edge, she's a bit of a ball player on the edge, but being in that middle, her strength, her ball skills in the middle, she was, unreal for us. And I think everyone flowed off the back of that. Queensland didn't know if she was going to run or she was going to pass, so it kept them on their toes as well.
Millie actually said post-match, Roo, she said, if Liv Koenig does not get player of the match, I'm going to run across the field naked, right? And so she's got player of the match to go with the Dally M from last year. She's still quite young. How much better can she get? What is the ceiling for Liv Koenig?
Well, I was asked this same question about Jessie Southwell, and I have the same answer. I don't think either of them have a ceiling because they are so good. They are so good and they continue to improve year on year. The women's game continues to improve. Their knowledge is incredible. Their physicality is wonderful. And they're both being so young, they have such longevity still left in the game. And as long as they stay fit and healthy, I reckon they're both going to be incredible leaders for our state in many, many years to come.
Well, I think part of that is going to have to be that the international game stays competitive. I thought, obviously, watching Australia play England, you know, it ended up being 96, whatever it was. But even against New Zealand, I felt like we were well and truly in control of those games as well. So, you know, I think New Zealand coming into the competition this year hopefully will, you know, bring that back up because they were dominant for so long, the Kiwi girls.
Yeah, they were. I think when we won the World Cup in 2013, the Kiwis are actually going for their 4th World Cup win in a row. So we broke that streak for them. But since then, it's been really notable with the amount of sort of input and money that's gone into the women's game in Australia that the Australian women's have really gone through the roof, and obviously NRLW is a massive part of that as well.
Just watching the attack, you could see you were so clear on the way you were playing. The coach, John Strange, he must be an incredible coach.
Oh, he's amazing. Like, he's hands down the best coach I've ever had, and someone that I would love to be mentored under for as many years as possible.
Why is he so good?
I think he's so good at explaining why you're doing something. So, especially female athletes, they like to know why they're doing it and how we're doing it, and he gets down to the detail of things, and you really understand who you're getting at and why you're doing it as well.
When you said female athletes like to know why, why is that?
I just think girls, we're really we like the detail of things as well, and Strange is really good at that detail and helping us girls understand what exactly it is that we need and what it is we need to do.
Cool.
We really appreciate you coming
Will that
in.
help you in your relationship with Kate, do you think?
We go to a break, please.
Need some relationship counselling, anybody?
Dr. Phil over here.
All right. Congratulations once again, and we'll see you up in 2 weeks' time up at Newark.
Yeah, can't wait. Thanks, Em.
As the girls said, get there to Newcastle if you can, and of course we've got all of the action live, free and exclusive right here on 9. We're going to take a break from these two lunatics on the edges. We're going to a tough night for Newcastle, but a huge congratulations to Dane Gagai. 300 matches in the NRL. What an incredible servant he has been for rugby league. And Billy, someone you know very well and have played with across many years.
Yeah, been a great player, and congratulations to Gags. He's given everything in every game he's played, and big moment there for Kel and the kids and Dane himself and his family. So unfortunately the Knights couldn't get it done for him, but yeah, he'll be looked back on that. And to know that he's one of 54 players to play 300 games in our wonderful game, I think that's a huge achievement.
I was there at the start. I was coaching the Roosters, and we got Dane Gagai and his father down. sat him down on the beach at Bondi and said, you know, well, you should come to the Roosters and play. And he didn't come to us. I was sitting there looking, this is all I did. Bondi Beach, mate, have a look at that. You don't want to be here.
Well, his dad was his hero. He looked up to his dad.
His dad played for the Broncos too, didn't
I think
he?
he had a year at the Broncos, but had a wonderful sort of country career up there in Queensland. So.
He started there. He had a couple of years at Broncos and then Newcastle South.
Yeah.
And then back.
You know what he is? The bigger the game, the better he gets.
Well, Origin. And coming out of trouble, some of those tough runs where he pinball off.
Mate, gets in behind your ruck. And, like, even my last couple of years there, like, just, you couldn't defend it. You think, you know, you say, righto, Gags is going to do this. Mate, just in behind,
bounce.
quick play of the ball, bang, quick play. Oh, nightmare.
Well, Friday night, can't sleep. Many nights you have that. But Friday night, it was just all Mitchell Moses and Zach Lomax, their first time playing together for the Eels, the boys on the Levels Network. So Willie Mason and Justin Horrow used the term Momax. So this might catch on, but gee, they were good together.
Eels fans, there is a good team building there. Obviously, the gun players are getting on the field together. That's been a real key. Moses unlocks everyone. He unlocks, you know, the outside backs, but mostly he unlocks Dylan Brown. Takes the responsibility and the stress off Dylan Brown. When he's there, Moses, stating the obvious, they're a completely different team. Geez, I reckon this bloke's got a future. Yeah. Either in the centres or the back row. Big and strong. But world-class player, Mitchell. There's so much better there.
The inclusion of those two great players, they're representative players, they make a huge difference. But I can see the work that Jason Rolls putting into this team coming through now. I think the right edge, the Lomax and Will Penasini decision of their positions has been one that he's handled really well. And the other thing is a couple of the younger guys he's helped develop. Iongi at fullback, he is a wonderful player. He's probably their most consistent player over the first 11 games. And Kautonga, the left back rower, he's doing some wonderful things as well. So I can see the green shoots coming through from Jason Rolls' coaching and just some of the way that he's handled some situations, even the Dylan Brown situation, he's handled that well. So they're a footy team. This didn't surprise me, this performance. I think they're a wonderful team, and to be honest, I thought they would be higher up the ladder than where they are.
Joey, what's going wrong at the Knights? Where to now? I mean, many question marks, but do you have any answers or some answers?
Well, firstly, they've got to work out who their halves are. Once again, they've changed the halves. Tyson Gamble's not a halfback. He's a really good 14 and he can play 5'8" or he can play lock. This young guy on debut, Fletcher Hunt, made some boo-boos but put his body on the line. He had a debut. But work out who your 7 is, especially, whether it's Cogger or whether it's Jackson Hastings. We know Jackson.
Would you bring him back in?
Well, I haven't seen him play in New South Wales Cup and what he's doing. But one thing about Jackson, he's polarising, as we all know. But he can get you around the park. He'll organise, he can get a game plan on, he kicks well, he brings other players into play. Adam O'Brien in the press conference pretty much poo-pooed that, said he won't be back. But they've got to work out.
Because he's polarising? Do you think that's because of his personality?
Well, there's rumours about certain feuds and all this, which I couldn't give a rat's. Whoever's the best number 7, put him in there and leave him there, because there's no stability in the key players. I feel for Kalen, because as a fullback, Bill, you need someone providing to Kalen to get him in space. And he looks really frustrated, Kalen. I feel for him. But late in the game, he nearly got his head taken off from a really poor pass.
Yeah, it just looks a little bit messy. It looks disorganised and untidy at times. They look like they've got hardly any confidence as a footy team. Very individual.
They missed some middles, but on paper, their forward pack was as good as ever. But the forward pack's rolling forward is just the polish on the end of the set, the kicking game, the organisation, and once again, it comes down to who's playing in the number 7 jersey. I don't know whether Cogger was dropped or whether he's injured. But I found that when I found out that Tyson was halfback, I sort of raised an eyebrow. But yeah, find out who your 7 and 6 is, lock them in and leave them there.
All right, well, bit of soul-searching for the Knights over the coming few weeks, that is for sure. The Doggies, aren't they having an incredible 2025? Another comeback victory showing why they are the benchmark this year. We'll relive all the highlights in a sec. Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. The Doggies fans were celebrating all Friday night after they were giving it to Freddy, but we might have to call them the Comeback Kings because for the second week in a row, they had to claw their way back into this, Freddy. How did they manage to do it?
Well, you know what? It started with a Jacob Carraz run. He was the first one to make a break, and then this followed just after it. They didn't have that much confidence, and I think on the other hand, the Roosters' defence had a lot of confidence. And I think after that, they just said Roosters ended up giving up too many errors, too many mistakes, too many penalties, and the Dogs just showed actually what sort of club they are at the moment. They just scored all different types of tries, but mainly running through the middle, coming back from sort of far left-hand sides of the field and just basically ran through them.
Torpedo, finally.
Only one.
Only one. Only because the great Jonathan Thurston told him to do it.
This was probably the game of the round. This was a brilliant game to watch. It had a bit of everything, lead changes. You're right, Freddie. They went through, not around, the Bulldogs.
Billy, you picked up, they're playing these plays and they're going back where the fullback defends because the fullback fades in behind.
And there's more space. So where the fullback's standing at the play the ball, he folds in behind and there's more space there. So if you can drag the players away from that space and the fullback folds in behind and get some players skipping back through there. That's where Bronson Sherry got his try.
There's 2 tries.
And also Burton. Burton went straight back into that space. So it's a bit of a tactic.
Momentum.
But Teddy was a long way, wasn't he? Like on both of those tries, Teddy was a long way. So obviously he's thinking a kick out.
He didn't do anything wrong. That's the template of what fullbacks do these days. They park themselves in the defensive line. The defensive line looks thicker, and then they get the advantage out wide. But if you drop some players back underneath, there can be some space there.
We've seen the last 2 weeks momentum, the way it shifts. The Knights and the Titans, Canberra against the Bulldogs last week, and then the other night we saw this. The way the momentum swings and then the opposition. It seems to me when the opposition, when it swings, they stop playing. They feel the pressure. And I thought this would happen in the second half. They were using the ball, the Roosters, and they troubled them with offloads, and then once the momentum shifted, I feel like they started to make some silly errors and then they stopped playing. But momentum is so important.
The Sharks were good at that last night, I thought. I didn't think they stopped playing. And I thought actually Manly were very similar as well. They sort of just kept going and chasing points. This is a great game.
It was a great game, wasn't it? And the atmosphere. Like the Bulldogs, towards the end of the year, come semi-final time, they're going to be hanging off the rafters. And they play the Roosters in the semi, Freddie. Good luck. You might need a security guard with it.
Joey, you mentioned the Burton torpedo.
Yes.
JT and I spoke to him before the match, and JT said, please, please, please give us at least one. And he said he would. But given that he nails them so well, why do you think we're not seeing more from Matt Burton?
I have no idea. When I was kicking, I always put myself in the fullback situation and think, what wouldn't I like to catch? And the number one is the torp or the floater, because nowadays you're protected if you jump. The fullback cannot jump for a torpedo and floater because they move so much. So not only are they hard to catch, you're fair game. If your kick chase get down there, you can tickle their ribs up.
Billy, as a fullback, what are you thinking when that's coming your way?
I played against Joey and he was probably the easiest kicker to defend against. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Bill.
You know, you're absolutely right. You want to give your opposition what they don't want. Yeah. And those floating kicks where you can't leave the ground, and if you can time that perfect, the hardest thing with it is it's hard to put it exactly where you want it. The end over end kicks are easy to put it right on a dime.
Well, practice more.
Well,
it's hard to argue. They've lost one game.
Yeah.
So
they're doing something right.
Can I give a special mention?
He saved it.
Ashley Coyne. Great referee. Stayed out of the game, no one noticed. So Ashley Coyne, well done. The refereeing too, very good. Todd Smith last night, he was very good too, but Ashley Coyne, well done. Hashtag stay out of the game. Thought he was outstanding. The game flowed. The game flowed.
There you go.
Well done.
Well said. We have your award-winning segment, Turn It Up. Next, we are continuing our Origin flavour. The man behind the miracle try, Mark Coyne, is in. But as we do head to the break...
Turn it up. Floats the pass for Renoff. Renoff down the touchline. Beats one. Gets it in field. Hancock gets it on. Queensland are coming back. Darren Smith for Vega. Vega gets it away. Here's the big fella. Gets the pass on. Coyne. Coyne goes for the corner and gets the try.
What about that from Queensland? I can't believe it.
I can't even talk. I've got to vomit after watching that. I've only seen it 10,000 times. Welcome to Turn It Up and the great Mark Coyne. Coyne, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Joe.
Steve Renoff gets that ball. He's coming through down the left-hand side. What are you thinking? What are you doing on the right side?
I've always been, because I was sort of always played out in the back, so I always was a good number counter in sort of defence and attack. And as I saw the Pearl turn the ball back inside, I was counting the numbers and I'm thinking if the ball keeps getting out, to me, they're going to run out of numbers and I'm going to have a shot at getting to the line, and that's exactly what happened.
What are you doing? Because you're that side of centre.
Well, like he said, they kept chewing up all our numbers. That's Graham Mackay in there, the winger. So as Mal got it, I just saw it. I knew Coyne was outside, and I'm thinking, everyone knew he had a big, sharp right foot step, and I'm thinking, I might have to knock him out if I need to stop him.
So you should have, looking at that, you wish you hung him up.
Well, I had to, because there was enough room for him to score to beat me on the outside if I tried to hold on his step. And I'm thinking, I honestly remembered thinking that, I'm just going to have to hold my right hand out here, and I end up going around his waist being a nice guy.
What's that moment in Queensland history, Billy? Where does that rate?
Well, I was 12 years old. That is my Queensland origin childhood. Sitting on a lounge room floor.
So that inspired
watching,
you?
Absolutely. That's what this footy team does. That's what that footy team did. It inspired us as Queensland kids, and that's what the footy team of the Maroons right now is doing to the future generations.
How does that make you feel when you've got the greatest fullback of all time saying that?
Pretty special, and you don't, when you're playing the game, you don't sort of realise, the impact that you might have going forward on things. And obviously, that was a great team try. I obviously was lucky to finish it off, but obviously it's a great thing to be remembered for in the game, and it's great that Billy's saying what he's saying and that Queenslanders are inspired by it.
What about that great team? Like it went from Renoff, you had Alfie Langer, and the bloke who give you the ball, Mel Meninga, to play in a team with so many great Queenslanders. What was that like?
Yeah, just pretty special. I mean, all of us have played with great teammates, and it's just special. And as you guys know, you just you get bonded for life. When you play Origin, you go to a reunion, and it's just like you've never been away from the guys that you've been in camp with, and that's the main thing. Is I think the bonds that you make with the players that you play with in Origin.
What about the players today? The players in Billy's team at the moment that sort of inspire you?
I think there's some great. Lindsay Collins, I'm a big fan of. I think Lindsay's great, and it's good to see him come back from injury, get through the game. I think he's fantastic. Obviously it's hard to go past Reece Walsh. He's obviously not going to play, I don't think, first game. But yeah, guys like that are really, really great to watch. There's just the talent now. Like even just watching. That the Roosters, Mark, I can't say his last name, no easy. But what he did the other night was just, unbelievable. And then even what Xavier Coates did, like that leap was just like an AFL leap. It's just incredible.
Now, we grew up, obviously, watching the great Wally Lewis and Brett Kenny, and State of Origin to me is like, just some of my greatest memories as a kid. What does State of Origin mean to you?
Oh, everything as well, Freddy. Like I grew up in a small town in Brisbane, Sunnybank, and I always aspired to go. And obviously, you always dream about wanting to play professional league and Origin, but I never ever thought I'd get a shot to do that. And to be fair, I never played a rep game. My first rep game was actually playing for Queensland, a State of Origin. So I never gave myself ever thinking that I'd ever do that. So when I finally got the opportunity to do it, it's just a dream come true. I remember looking at my jersey, just kept looking down, because I was on the bench. I just kept looking down at my jersey going, I can't believe I'm
really?
Queensland jersey on. Yeah.
And that was before you were going out?
Yeah, that's before I even got on. No, someone showed me the video, a long time ago, but I was looking down lovingly at the Queensland emblem because I was so excited about being in the team.
Can you believe there was an instance just recently, Terrell May sitting on a video game saying, throw my Blues jersey out, I don't want it anymore. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it's sad, obviously. It's just sad that someone is probably in a position, mentally where they feel like that's a discardable item, I suppose, because to me, they're just everything. Obviously playing for Australia is, obviously great as well, but Queensland was just a different type. That Origin's a different game to playing a test match, and to get to play Origin is just like the pinnacle of the game that you're playing, and yeah, I treasure every jersey that I got playing for Queensland.
We saw the 95 footage, Faddy's Neville's, which everyone thought that New South Wales would beat Queensland by 50 odd. Probably we believed it too. What does that mean to you when you see it? You spoke about bonds playing with players. Tell us about that 95.
Yeah, pretty special, Joe. So I played 7 Origin series, I only won 1, which was a 95 series. So I didn't have a lot of success, during my Origin times. But that was very special because you're right. Like we virtually inherited a team because of the Super League war that I think me, Gary Larson, and Billy Moore might have been, and Gilly were the only ones that probably had played Origin. All the rest were all young guys that were coming into the team, and the fact that we just won that first game 2-0, I think gave us a belief. And one of the things about Paul Vaughton, everyone thinks he's a joker on he was very funny on the footy show, but he was a very, very good coach. And I remember like one of the things he used to do after every training session in Origin is we practice defending our line. So we'd go down right at the end of training and do probably 7 or 8 sets of defending our line. And in that Origin series, you remember, like you got held up over the line probably about 10 or 11 times during that whole series.
First game was 2-0.
Yeah, it was 2-0, yeah. And I think that mindset that Faddy put in us around defending our line and practising it at training really just emanated into a bit of a thing, and we carried that through then after winning the first series for the next 2 games.
What did that mean to you, Billy? You spoke about that try Coyne scored. Yeah. Well, the following year, the 95. What did that mean to you watching?
Well, I think it typified what it was to be a Queenslander. They were the underdogs, no one would give them a chance, and they kept holding their gloves up. To win 3-0 was, incredible. And like I said, that was through my childhood. Coyne, you played your entire NRL career down here in Sydney at the Dragons. You still live in Sydney.
Yep.
As a Queenslander, going through Origin time down
and
here.
Living next door to Gus.
And living next door to Gus.
Someone who's as New South Wales as they come, Phil Gould.
Is that a song, Living Next Door to Gus?
Yeah, so I think it should be.
What's that like?
Oh, yeah, it's good. It's a really weird street. Like, it's only about 7 houses in our street.
Hang on, a really weird street.
Well, it's just weird in the fact that there's about 7 houses in the street, and I've got Gus on one side, and I'm obviously in the middle, and I've got Michael Beattie right next door to me, who was a great Dragons player as well. So these 7 houses, you've got 3 former NRL sort of players, so it's a bit unique. But Gus is good. Like, our kids grew up together. Our wives are really, really, really close. And he's an amazing sort of he's a fountain of knowledge, Gus. Like, when you talk to him, sit down about football, it's just mesmerising, like, talking to him.
Oh, he's none better.
So smart.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and look over and Gus's lights on?
Oh, probably.
He's going.
He doesn't sleep.
He doesn't sleep. He's got that big. He's got the big TV room where he's got the massive TV, and I think he goes down there and watches all sorts of footy highlights, I reckon.
What about the Dragons? Where they're at the moment? You've just been appointed onto the board of St George Illawarra.
Yeah.
What do you want to change?
I think it's only just started there, Joe, so I'm still working my way through it. But I think, you look at the club over the last, period of time. We won the premiership in 2010, and we've only been in 2 semi-finals since that time, and, that's probably not good enough for the fans and supporters and the club itself. So I think one of the things that I get frustrated by is you look at all the good players that were St George Juniors all playing at other clubs now. So clearly there's something, in my view, not quite right around how are these players ending up. And Tyrone Richard's a great example.
Yeah.
Like, his dad played for Illawarra, played 1 year in the joint venture, and now his son ended up down at Melbourne. So how did that happen? Like, why isn't he playing at the Dragons? To me, it just doesn't feel right. And I think that's the sort of area that we've got to try and fix.
Well, they won the SG Ball last year, so you've got some good juniors coming through. Yeah. Now, you've had a fair bit of life, fair party life, in the commercial world. How'd you get into it, and what do you like about it?
Yeah, I sort of always felt I didn't want to go and be a coach because I just saw coaches turn over pretty quickly. So I thought I haven't got the patience to be a coach because I get too cranky. So I went to the corporate world and, I just got involved in sort of personal injury insurance, which is sort of people who hurt themselves at work. And coming from football background, as you guys all know, you have a lot of injuries. And so I sort of felt like I knew that sort of area pretty well. And, I just sort of did that and sort of, went pretty well. And, so, what is it, 25... 30 years later, I'm sort of part retired now, so right. I'm in a pretty good spot. But
1992, 1993, St George alone, not St George Illawarra, an incredible effort, really. You're playing the Brisbane Broncos. they had 22 internationals in their squad, and you pushed them.
Yeah.
Tell us about those grand finals and playing against the greatest ever Broncos team.
Yeah, they're obviously a great team. 92, I think we had a really tough final series. I think I think we beat Newcastle actually 3-2. 3-2 in a semi-final. And the next week we played Illawarra to get to the grand final. We beat them 4-0. So they were two really hard games. And I think, to a degree, I think we sort of took a breath and went, oh, thank God we've made it. And then, probably let ourselves down a little bit in terms of, thinking that we'd made it to the grand final. That's probably enough for the year. For us, that's a great result because no one gave us a chance. So I think 92, was always going to be tough. 93, I think, was our best shot at winning the grand final. Like, we finished high up on the table and we had a pretty good run in the semis, and Broncos had to fight their way from 5th spot. But at the end of the day, they're just a good quality team, and they outdid us on the day. And I still get phone calls now at 1 a.m. in the morning from Alf Langer reminding me that Saints can't play. St George can't play. So I still get that off Alf. He'll never give up, I don't think. But I'm at the point now where it was that long ago. I'm happy to take his phone calls.
What about the game at the moment, Coyne? Where do you see that?
I think it's great, Billy. It's just it's such a fast game and the skill. Like, I was just talking about those guys that scored the tries, last night. Their skill's just unbelievable. Like, it's just, they're amazing athletes. The game's never been better, and congratulations to Pete V'landys and Andrew Abdo. It's just going so good. But it's tough. It's a tough game. It's a lot. I feel like it's probably a lot more harder than when I played.
Well, I'm sick of hearing your name around Origin time. Coyne, it's a miracle. But thanks for coming. You going up to the Origin?
Yeah, I'm going up. Yeah, I'll be there.
Well, we might catch you. Hopefully after a Blues win. Thanks, mate. You joined us on the passoff too.
I am.
Okay. I was a bit worried about the pass-off.
Yeah, well, I haven't.
You only right to left. You only ever played right.
That's true.
I look forward to his left to right.
Right foot step on the pass-off, Freddie.
I haven't passed the ball for 7 years.
I'll be head-eyeing you while you're trying to pass.
Well, stay with us after the break. More Sunday Footy Show.
So no bloody arguments, you understand? No foot fault there, Greeny. And a 10. No pressure, Luke. This is one of the more important things that happens here on a Sunday, understand? Oh, beautiful. Rounds of applause.
Yes, welcome to another edition of Freddy's Pass Off. We have some very special guests from the Windale Eagles in today. So we've got Charlotte, Braxton, and young Tobin, and then we've got under-9s coach, I believe, Alexis. So they're all ready for your pass-off, Freddie.
You love coaching?
Yeah, I love it. It's the best. Give back to the kids. Braxy's in our team. It's great fun.
How's your team go?
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah. We've got a good team. I've got Zoe back. She's I'm her assistant coach.
Yeah.
And we've got a really good team, good group. Half of them are girls, which is really exciting for the game.
What's the competition like up there? How many teams are playing?
We've got 6 in our team, 7 maybe in our comp. So yeah.
Valentine's the strongest one.
They go all right, yeah.
Valentine, Paul Harrigan, Adam Muir, the Kamali brothers.
Yeah, right.
That's the big club up there, yeah.
Now, you've had a drama with your clubhouse. What happened there?
So in March, they set our clubhouse on fire. We lost our change rooms. So we lost things like post pads, strapping tape, water bottles, massage tables, things like that. So at the moment, we can't access the change rooms. There's no roof on. We're just waiting to kind of see what happens next.
Is there any way we can help? Any way anyone can help?
Oh, anybody who, if they reach out to the club and...
So tackling bags,
there's
bump pads,
things like that.
We'll sort something out. We'll get on to it. We'll sort something out. But in the meantime, I know Charlotte's going to do her very best to make everyone from the town super, super proud. And Coyne's going to have a go as well. So Coyne, I believe you're up first. You're already trying to make excuses. I haven't passed in 7 or 8 years.
A couple over here and a couple over
there, Tobin and Brax.
If he gets any through the middle.
Good ball boy, mate.
Which he will. He's a Queenslander.
Get a few. So if you can feed them back out as quick as possible.
So 30 seconds each side.
You want to come down here and help? You
ready?
Your brother? His brothers? No, friends.
We ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, it starts with a 5.
Start the clock.
You got to throw more, Coyne. You got to throw quicker, mate.
And torpedo, please, Coyne.
Yeah, Coyne. That's it.
Hey.
There we go. Ready?
Yep.
Oh, it's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Tobin.
7.
Yeah, mate. Yep.
There you go, Coyne.
10 seconds on that side.
Like you're firing at the Elfie.
Yep. Here we go.
Come on,
Good
Coyne.
throw more, Coyne.
2, 1. Swap sides.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Come on.
Go. Oh.
Well, you can tell he was
Get him.
he was a right side
It was
player.
a right
and
side
a dummy
player. We
half.
mentioned this.
Yes, Coyne. Oh.
You've got it. Come on.
Get on.
10 seconds left, Coyne.
Oh, sabotaged. Yeah, nice. There's a 10. There's
close.
a 7.
3,
You're huffing. You're
2,
huffing.
I am, mate.
1.
Finish with a 7.
Not bad. We're going to get your score.
Right.
I should have had that muffin.
As fast as you can.
Oh, stop it.
Up around the 200 mark, you think? Couple of seconds, drum roll. They're counting somewhere in the studio.
You got to beat the Prime Minister.
221. Wow, not
I'm not
bad.
sure if you did.
Probably had some Queenslanders in there. I reckon that was Queenslanders in there.
If you did.
Oh, Tom's in there.
Thomas, I don't know if
Thomas.
that was the right score. Anyway, Charlotte. Now, Charlotte,
Okay.
let's start a little
Where
bit
we going?
closer.
You're on the line. You can't cheat, though. You're that far up. Get your foot back. Just because you're a girl doesn't mean you move your foot
Turn your
forward.
feet that
Hey?
way. Turn your feet the other way. No, this
This
way.
way, that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's way. So get your back foot. Hang on, I'm doing coaching here.
Tips from Joey.
I'll send the invoice in to you.
Back foot on the G. Back foot on the G.
Go back more.
Back
You've
foot
got
on the
this,
G.
Here we
Charlotte.
go. 3,
There you go. There you go. Now you're right.
Keep trying.
1.
Go,
Go, Charlotte,
quick.
go. Go,
Quick
Charlotte,
as you
quick.
can. Quick as you can.
That's it, Charlotte.
Quick. There
Yes.
you go.
Go.
Quicker.
Yeah,
Quicker.
quicker.
Go.
Go, Charlotte, you got it.
Yes.
Yes.
Through the middle.
Good.
Keep going, Charlotte.
Through the middle.
More. Quicker.
Quicker. Yes.
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 And again.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Keep going. Oh, yeah. She's cheating.
She's creeping.
Get your foot back.
She's creeping.
Yes.
Go, Charlotte.
Go,
Don't
Charlotte.
listen to him.
Newcastle people.
1, top side,
Swap
Charlotte.
sides.
Turn it.
Come on, boys.
Go.
There's a 7.
Yes, Charlotte. Get that.
That'll do. Anyway, doesn't matter which way.
Another one
Get
through
it
there.
through.
Hang on,
Oh, yeah, there's a 10.
What's it?
Coyne, will you do something? You're not in the centre.
Go, Charlotte.
Hey, that's what happens when you're on a board. Sit there and do nothing.
Yes. Oh. Perfect.
Yes.
5.
Yes.
Then again.
4.
Yes.
Charlotte.
Yeah. No.
Not quite.
Yes. Go,
Pretty
Charlotte.
good.
Good work, Charlotte.
Big round of applause for Charlotte.
Well
Pretty
done.
good.
All right, everyone gather in. Gather in close.
She'll beat you for sure, Coyne.
Come on, kids. Braxton, Tobin, in close while we get Charlotte's score. Come in for the final shot. Where's young Tobin?
Come over here, mate.
How do you think you went? Drum roll. Oh, 269.
She
Smash
flies.
Coyne.
Narrowbean's the winner.
Well done to both of you. We'll have the leaderboards after the break. But also, Billy, we are saying goodbye to you. So enjoy
luck,
the
Bill.
week, have fun, and we'll see you Wednesday week.
10 days. She's on.
Bring it on.
When's that flu going to go through the camp we always hear?
That's not until captain's run.
Okay. Yeah.
Billy's gone, but we're staying around. See you in a sec. Welcome back. Here are the leaderboards for Freddy's pass-off. So Coyne sitting in number 4 at the moment, just behind Ronaldo Mulatalo. And Hazem, he is going to be tough to catch with our guests. As for our young footy stars, the Windale Eagles in third at the moment. Great
Well
job,
done.
Charlotte. Round of applause, and we'll do our very best to help you guys out wherever we can with that clubhouse. And then Arabine Sharkies are still at the top. Of course, we are counting down to our match, the Savo Sunday footy down at GIO Stadium. It is the Raiders and the Titans. So the Raiders last week, take you back, that was when they were up against the Doggies. The Doggies clawed their way back into it. So you'd imagine, knowing Ricky Stewart, he would have got a rocket right up them last week.
Yeah, well, they had this game, but I think the Dogs have shown this year that when they get going, they're very hard to stop. So I don't think you can take too much away from the Raiders from that performance. On the other hand, the Titans, like their best and their worst is so far away. On their day, they're a really dangerous footy team.
But their best and worst is from one set to another. It's not week to week. For a couple of sets, they look like world beaters, and then they just make some silly errors. They got strike. They can score tries and score them quickly. Dry weather down down in Canberra, this will be a beauty. I think it'll be all-out attack, high-scoring game. I think this will be an absolute beauty. I'm looking forward to it.
for players like Tino, for Beau Fermor, for the Titans,
Even
playing
Brimson.
for
Brimson
Origin
at 14.
jerseys. A couple of weeks ago, people were saying that potentially Daz Hasler was fighting for his job, but when they get it together, they're looking good. Speaking of Origin jerseys, Hudson Young sits down with Michael Chammer, so we have that very special feature in our coverage from 3 p.m. Joey, you said that you would definitely have Hudson there for the Blues.
I'd have him on the bench, but I'd have him playing a middle forward.
Yep.
I think the way he plays, very similar to Anthony Watmough, really quick, left-hand carry like Chock. I think when he comes on the field late in the game, he could terrorise them around the middle.
That's the next part of his game, especially if he wants to be a great rep player. He's been able to play in the middle. I think he also has that speed where he'll get quick play the balls, a lot like Cam Murray style, especially while Cam's out. He'll give us a real benefit there if he can get to the ground quick, bring defenders in, and then it'll open up for everyone else. But, yeah, he needs to be able to play on the edge and in the middle.
Would you play him in the middle?
Yeah, for sure.
Bench, yeah.
For sure.
Raiders or Titans?
Raiders.
Raiders.
2 from 2 Raiders this afternoon. Stay with us. We're going to wrap it all up after this short break.